everyone, it's here. Hello, welcome to new Cube video. My name is Pavel Savianko and I will tell you today how to make CubeGUI to find its plugins. So we are back to our terminal and today I would like to show you how to make GUI to look for plugins in not standard places. First of all, one has to mention, yes, CubeGUI has a plugin infrastructure and majority of analysis capabilities of CubeGUI are implemented via some plugin. So just for little demonstration, if we start Cube, for example, and open some Cube file, then the presentation of trees is the core functionality, but for example, presentation of statistic or sunburst or for example, advisor plugin or anything else, or maybe some source code. This is functionality provided by different plugins. About plugins, there will be a separate special video, and every plugin we will present in own video. Here I would like to show only how GUI searches for plugins. This is part of core functionality, therefore we dedicate one special video for it. So before I start, I remind you, please subscribe, give us a like and comment if you have any questions. Okay, so first of all, one has to mention or put accent on simple fact that the CubeGUI there are two kinds of plugins, basically. The own plugins, basically, which we distribute together with the CubeGUI, or third-party plugins. That is the one criteria to differ. Of course, there are also kinds of plugins like context-free or standard plugins, or it is the value view plugin, and so on. About that we speak later. Here it is important to differ between the internal plugins, how we call own plugins, and external plugins, third-party plugins. So first of all, where are the own plugins? So if we take a look where we have installed Cube, in this case, this is in a path like this, then one should take a look a little bit higher in prefix, and there is a directory lib. So if one goes to lib and one lists it, one sees here various libraries, and there is directory cube plugins. So if one goes to cube plugins and lists it, then one sees plenty of SO files, and these are plugins. These plugins are built during the installation of CubeGUI, and they are installed into library directory in own subdirectory. And the path to this directory is hard-coded in the CubeGUI. So therefore, everything what is in this directory will be tested whether it is a plugin or not. That is here are plugins installed which are coming together with CubeGUI. Okay, so let's take a look on so if we start Cube, of course it is pretty quiet. So if we just start and take a look at the output, here is nothing to see. And but if we make it verbose, using command line option verbose, we see that there is a plenty of output, and this is basically nothing else for the beginning. It lists the directories where it looks for plugins, and it reports if it found some plugin, and it tries it out. So in this case, we see that there was no plugins path was defined via this environment variable. So there is two paths which are hard-coded, where the CubeGUI is looking for plugins. That is the binary, so bin, and there is a libcube plugin. And then Cube plugin engine basically searches for every SO in this file, in these directories, and tests it whether it is plugin or not, using an internal Qt infrastructure, plugin infrastructure. So it found here advisor, kubediff, min, merge, editor, launch, and so on. These are our standard plugins. Okay, so if we have additional plugins available, we have built them and installed them somewhere. How to make a CubeGUI to find them basically, and to initialize and to use. So example for here let's take a look. Where it is? Yeah. So here that is the Scalasca.org website, and we have here additional plugins which we provide for Scorpion, Blade, JengaFed, Cold Graph, and Tau Value View. And of course they deserve their own video. So, but for us it's important that they are additional external plugins. So I already downloaded 3 plugins, so Tau View, Cold Graph, and JengaFed, and installed them in different directories. Okay, this we don't need it anymore. Okay, but I have installed them. If we take a look, and in directory home test users soft cube, and there are 3 additional directories. So there is the installation for 4.7, and there is a Cold Graph directory, JengaFed, and plugins. So the plugins is a general directory where I imagine you install multiple external plugins, and then, for example, there are 2 plugins, they have been installed separately. So why it might be useful, I will demonstrate now. So I would like to make CubeGUI to find these plugins and use them. So let's take a look. If we go, there are basically 2 ways to inform it. Using this command line environment variable CubePlugin dir, or within CubeGUI. So first, within CubeGUI, in the menu plugins, there is a first menu item configure plugin search path, and here you get a window offered where you can add many directory as you want, where the CubeGUI searches for plugins. So, and here, for example, we can select this, for example, this directory. So it's plugin, and it was installed into libs and cube plugins. So one has to select always all the paths up to the SO. So basically the whole path, not one doesn't stop here or here. One has to select all the way. Okay, so here are our additional plugins. One has selected this directory, one has to add it. One can do that multiple times. Let's do it only once. OK. So the plugin which I have installed, that is Tau Value View, is a special plugin. It is not visible so directly. I will demonstrate in a minute. So we can close the cube, and we can start it again and take a look at the output, and we see that the directory next to these 2 previous directories, it is also searches in this directory which we have added in this in this dialog. So it looks for plugins in home test user soft cube plugins like lib cube plugins. And if we take a look, then we see that here is additional line, and it found tau value plugin as O, and it loaded it without any errors. So it looks like this plugin has been built and compiled correctly. It uses the same Qt version, and it's supposed to work. So let's take a look where it is. This is a special plugin. I will dedicate to it a special Cube video. Here one has to just point you out that this plugin is implements additional view for the tau atomic value. So the CubeGUI delivers own value view, and this plugin provides special display. So the own display, it is basically three such triplet of tau value and statistic, and this plugin tau value view provides it in a form of let's make it a little bit bigger here as a small bar plot. Okay, so obviously this plugin works fine. What about another plugin? So I have installed also two additional plugins, CallGraph and JengaFed. Let's try to find them. The another way how one can inform CubeGUI to look for these plugins is, of course, using this environment variable cube plugin dir, and this we can do if we set this environment variable like here. It was already in my history, so I put a value here exactly like in this dialog, the path for CallGraph plugin here, and the path of JengaFed plugin up to the SO file. Yes. One should mention that this environment variable works like variable path, like variable path. So you can list multiple directories with a separator column. So and then if we use if we start cube, enter, and then take a look at the output, we see that now it reports that it doesn't report that this variable is not hasn't been set. So it is has a value, and this value is basically here. So the list of directories where CubeGUI searches for plugins is now extended by these two directories. And if one takes a further look, then in the list here there are two plugins additional. They are found, and they are loaded without any error. So it seems that they will be available for our analysis. Let's take a look. Let's take a look some for example cube file. Yeah, and then of course I will explain what every plugin does. So this CallGraph is available under menu plugins, and one sees here is the plugin, and then we can say generate output. So we see that this plugin has generated CallGraph out of our call tree. Okay, and another plugin, JengaFed, is lives sits basically in our system pane, and here one can display. So it provides basically a stapled bar plot of the system tree. But details about it in own video. Okay, so that is the basically how one can inform CubeGUI where one should look for additional cube plugins. What if that can happen? What if some plugin crashes, for example, and so it makes the whole CubeGUI crashes. So one would have to find out which plugin crashes, of course using debugger if it's available or not. Or one can do, what one can do, one starts Cube with command line option disable plugins, and then despite all the settings, the CubeGUI doesn't initialize plugin infrastructure at all. So we see here is nothing, here is the nothing, and if we start CubeGUI, we see here no any plugins. And that proves, first of all, that the reason for crash is plugin. Okay, then one has to find out which plugin is that. So for that, one starts normally here, let's say like this, and without, I mean, of course, if it is up to this crash, here in plugin, in menu plugins, here is the list with all found plugins, and one can disable manually basically plugin which one suspects which is crashing. So I have disabled now launch, Paravere, Jenga Fet, and they're not here. One can see that they are not available here. Yeah, so if CubeGUI works, then obviously the one of these disabled plugins was the reason for the crash, and one should not use it. Okay, so that's basically it. These are way how one informs CubeGUI about additional plugins. I hope you understood it and you liked this video. Give us a like, subscribe, and see you next time.